Welcome aboard the Ear to There podcast, the podcast that'll help you vacation like a pro in any Disney destination. For those of you standing, please sit down and hold on throughout our journey and get ready to learn how to have the time of your life. And now, here's your host, Phil Gramlich.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ear to There podcast. I am your host, Phil Gramlich, and I am also the owner and operator of Ear to There Travel, a Disney specialized travel agency. It is my job to help take away the stress, that anxiety, and all that time that it takes planning a Disney trip so you can focus on the really fun things like having a great time with your family and friends and enjoying the magic. You can find this podcast, my blog, or request a free, no-obligation quote over at eartotheretravel.com. This is episode number 43 for the week of November 21st, 2016. By the way, November 21st is my birthday. I'm 3 days off from the official birthday of Mickey Mouse. So if you feel like saying hello, saying happy birthday to me and Mickey this week, I wouldn't mind. And again, if you haven't listened to the show before, here's something I say every week. Now grab a drink, grab a snack, and as a famous mouse once said, on with the show. All right, confession time right off the bat here. I love Walt Disney World. No, I know what you're thinking. There's no way you do. You're 43 episodes into a podcast where you talk pretty much primarily about Walt Disney World and only Walt Disney World. But yes, I do love Walt Disney World. I love everything about it. And yeah, it gets loud, it gets noisy, it gets crowded. But honestly, those are some of my favorite things about it. I love the people. I love the cast members. I love the kids that are upset, that are tired, that are holding onto their parents' legs. I love everything about it. But that's not to say that sometimes, once in a while, I don't want to get out of that noise, get out of that chaos, get away from the crowds. So that's why this week we're bringing to you our top places to get away from it all in Walt Disney World. Oh, and just so you know, this is going to be part one of the how to get away from it all in Walt Disney World, because I have invited one of my favorite guests back onto the show, and he and I tend to ramble quite a bit. So as this was going to be one episode, it has now been broken down to two. But I do hope you enjoy the top places to get away from it all in Walt Disney World, part one. Here to talk about his favorite quiet spots in Walt Disney World is a frequent guest on the show. He's an annual pass holder who is in the parks with his wife and kids more than a couple times each week, which is exactly why he needs to find those quiet spots. Johnny Shortsleeve, welcome back to the show.
Oh, man, it's so good to be back. Thanks for having me back. And for this topic, this is a fun topic, and I'm glad we're talking about it because I've been on this run lately, man, where I've been there probably like 5 days a week, it seems like, where I might take a couple days off here and there, not cruising through the parks. But I think what's keeping me sane is just finding a little sanctuary here and there. And it's a question that I get a lot. And I think this is a perfect topic because I know a lot of people are thinking about this and saying, hey, you know what? This place is sensory overload. What am I going to do? How am I going to keep my kids from going bananas when there's nonstop stuff going on around them? So I think, man, this is awesome. This is a great topic today.
Thanks, and I'm pretty sure you're the one that came up with it, so you got to pat yourself on the back for that one, but thank you. Any topic that I can ever get that I don't have to come up with is fantastic. So it saves me the thinking kind of hurts my brain, so it helps me to not have to do it. But no, seriously, when you said the sensory overload thing, I think this could also serve a dual purpose. It can serve as where you go in the parks and places to get away from it all. But then again, it also is, if you have a child who has problems, processing sensory processing issues, these might really help you out. You might have a place that you can, slip off to if your child has, is on the autism spectrum or anything like that. I think this could really help them as well.
Well, even if not, I think what most people don't realize is that, your children aren't used to, for the most part, unless you're my kids, which I think I'm super grateful. I'm not trying to downplay this. I live an amazing life, and I'm so grateful for it that I live so close to this place. But if you're not conditioned to it, your kids are going to have a tough time going into this place, this amazing place where there's so much stuff going on around them. There's sights and sounds and smells and all kinds of things they want to taste. It's very tough. And I know I've seen firsthand, whether it be with my friends when they bring their kids who are from out of town, or just come watching meltdowns happen with families they don't know, just happen to be walking past in the park. I know it's tough, and that may be a barrier for some families who are thinking about taking a trip to Walt Disney World, especially if they have younger kids, and thinking, wow, this is just too much. It'll be an overload kind of scenario for them. And that can be true if you have them front and center to all of those sensory experiences all the time. But if you can find a way to escape and sneak away or get a little bit of quiet time, it certainly helps a lot. It helps them kind of get grounded, recenter, catch their breath, and then you can get back in there and have a lot of fun. And you and I have talked about this, Phil. It's the parents or the families, or just maybe it's just adults coming as couples or solo travelers. They think that they got to do everything. They got to go nonstop as soon as the park opens, all the way till the park closes. Get as many things done as possible. Those are the folks that, unfortunately, I don't think have a great experience. And it's certainly best enjoyed when you kind of take it in moderation.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Those people are the ones that come back from their vacation, and I'll ask them, "Oh my God, how was it?" And they're like, "Terrible." We wanted to do all this stuff. We had all these plans, and we ran. We were hot. We were sweaty. We didn't get a break, and now we need a vacation from our vacation. So these are kinds of places that kind of give you that little break in the middle of your afternoon or your morning when it's 1,000 degrees out, or when, like you said, it's just sensory overload and you need to take a little, R&R and get out of there. This will be a good topic. I'm excited. So, all right. So since you're the guest, and since I've gotten a lot of flack from people from going first for some reason. Yeah, people don't enjoy when I go first. So
really?
Yeah. I've actually gotten emails saying it's rude when I don't go first.
Can I address the people who emailed you and said that it's rude?
Yeah, you can.
Everybody who emailed Phil and told him it's rude, take a chill pill. It's his podcast. He can do whatever he wants. He makes the rules. It's his pirate ship.
We'll say I flipped the coin this time and you won. So now you.
How about that?
We'll edit that last part out.
What are the odds? All right, let me tell you about my list here. I'm going to. Can you insert the sound of knuckles cracking? Because I can't do that. My hands are all jacked up right now.
Yeah, actually. Wait. Hold on. I want to do that right here. Okay, go.
Got it. So I'm going to show off here, because what I did was, when I was thinking about my list of all the places in Walt Disney World, whether it be theme parks, resort hotels, Disney Springs, all the other things that you can do, there's a lot in my mind. And I said, you know what? Let's really narrow this down to the spot where I get the most questions about this from my friends and family. It's the Magic Kingdom. So my list is 100% Magic Kingdom focused today. I've got a few miscellaneous ones that I've kept in my back pocket, that in case you take all of mine, I can jump to some other spots. But I'm going straight up 100% Magic Kingdom. Hopefully that's cool with you.
Wow, yeah, I'm actually looking at my list. Hold on one second.
You should insert like some elevator music right there.
Yeah, right. I think I have one Magic Kingdom spot. I think we should be good.
Ooh, how about that, man?
We got to keep it below the 3-hour mark here, because I think
that's all your battery and your computer is good for right now.
Yeah, we're coming to you, by the way, for people that have been following along with me on the social media things. This is the first episode I'm recording in the new Ear to There studio. I got to think of a better name. Ear to There studio is kind of lame. I need like I don't know. We got to work on that. I'll put that
the
out.
Thunderdome. Did you smash a bottle of champagne on the wall or something? Just like christen it?
I did, yeah. My wife loved that. And then we had the kids walked in their bare feet. We had to take a trip to the emergency room. It was
Anyway, had to repatch all that drywall. You just
right. Up. Anyway, man, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You're up for your first one. I'm sorry.
All right. I'm going to hit a spot right now, top of my list, that is a spot that not a lot of people know about, or if they do know about, they sleep on it hardcore because it's a little bit of a process to get there. But I'm telling you, if you're in a spot where you notice that either you yourself as an adult or your kids are starting to get a little bit revved up and you can tell they need to just take it down a notch, Tom Sawyer Island. Tom Sawyer Island is a fantastic spot because, you get over there, you have to take the little rafts over in Frontierland. That's a cool little adventure in and of itself. And there's some neat things to do over there. They've got, a little playground up there that not a lot of people know about. There's the little barrel bridge that they have over there. But there's two spots in particular that you can oftentimes catch me there if I'm just in need of a little R&R just to relax for a little bit. The first one is there's some picnic benches up there, kind of right next to their playground, which is great if you're staying somewhere where you have like the DVC properties on property like Old Key West, things like that. If you have like a kitchenette or a refrigerator where you can have some food, you can bring like a little lunch into the park if you want. Sometimes I'll do that. And a second spot is Aunt Polly's, which used to be a little restaurant. I think they've opened it kind of sporadically here and there. It's not right now. It's not open, but they have this little dockside area over there where they have a little gazebo and some tables and chairs. And I think there's a couple rocking chairs down there too. But the gazebo is awesome because not many people know about it. So it's usually empty, but it's also right across the river from the Haunted Mansion. So you can hear like the howling dog and some of the noises from the Haunted Mansion. A fantastic view. If you're a photographer, you're an amateur photographer, that's an amazing view or vantage point for the Haunted Mansion, which, most people, when they take pictures, it's usually right there from that gate. When you walk in, this gives you a more front angle that you can't get when you're over there just walking up to the line. So those are nice spots if you need to just sit down and relax and, maybe bring a snack over there, something that you bought from the park. You just want to relax. That's to me right there. That was the first thing that came to mind, Tom Sawyer Island.
And there goes my Magic Kingdom pick.
Oh, are you serious? We broke a streak.
My number one, my first one I was going to go with was
really?
Aunt Polly's. Yeah, Aunt Polly's is my first one.
Damn.
No, dude, I really couldn't agree with you more. I love that little part of the park. It is kind of, you almost feel like you discovered it when you go over there because there's rarely people there. I think they still have the soda machines over there, the snack machines, which I always thought was weird because I've never seen them anywhere else in a Disney theme park except for on Tom Sawyer Island. Was those the Coke machine? But yeah, I love that answer. I love that pick. I have every trip that I've gotten over to Tom Sawyer Island, I bring my camera. I got a nice like DSLR camera with the zoom lens. I try to take like the cool pictures from there. And the rocking chairs are over there. And I think they used to have, I've never got to experience it, but they used to sell the cold fried chicken at that stand there at Aunt Polly's. What is it? Dockside Inn, is it called?
Yeah. Or was it Aunt Polly's? I mean, now you think I would do some advanced prep for these things, wouldn't you?
Research. We don't do research.
What? Homework? Nah. I haven't been in school in years.
How I came with my list, and this is going to be a very honest moment for me. Last night I was helping my children get to bed, and I lay with with our 4-year-old, one of our 4-year-olds. I lay next to her in bed till she falls asleep. Then I kind of creep my way out of there, not to wake her up out of her bed. And I lay there with my phone in my hand, and I just used the note feature on my iPhone, and I just typed up my list. That's how I came up with my list last night. And she was getting all annoyed. She was like, "Dad, it's light." I was like, "I have to work."
This is a podcast. This is important.
This is serious. But yeah, that's a great pick, man. It was my first one.
So when I said it, did you just like get up and punch the wall only to have your fist bounce back from your new soundproofing setup you got in there?
And I hit myself in the mouth. Yeah, that's what's really funny is as soon as you said it, I was going to be like, you picked, but I was like, I'll let him go. Let him explain it. Let him have his moment.
Yeah, let the baby have his bottle.
Yeah, right. But no, I agree with that one, wholeheartedly. I love that pick.
Good, man.
All right, so I'm going to give you I did have another Magic Kingdom one. So since I'm not going to get back to Magic Kingdom and all the rest of the episode, I want to go with my other Magic Kingdom one. I did have two. I lied terribly. So this one is one, it's a seasonal, I think it's still seasonal. I haven't, again, research, I didn't do research. But I think it's still seasonal at Magic Kingdom. And it's in Tomorrowland, and it's the Tomorrowland Terrace.
Oh,
nice.
Retribution.
Yeah, you gotta fight back once in a while. So here's why I like this one, right? It's only really used right now for the dessert, the dessert parties for the Wishes dessert parties at night, which is cool. You can get to go, you sit down, and this is why Disney's ever going to hand me freebies, right? Because I'm going to be honest, I think the dessert parties are kind of a waste of money. And I tell my clients the same thing. I just think you're paying an awful lot of money, especially at the Magic Kingdom, for desserts that you could get in other places and just stake out a spot for Wishes, and you'd be okay. I just think I'd rather spend my money somewhere else in Walt Disney World. Now, if you want to go, if you like them, by all means, do it. But for me, that's not where I'm going to spend my money. Anyway, what I like to do is, if you eat at, Tomorrowland doesn't have a ton of food options, right? If you've ever tried to eat lunch at Cosmic Ray Starlight Cafe, even if it's a dead, slow day at Magic Kingdom, that place is packed. Always, always, always. Super hard to get a table on there. But their food is pretty good, and they have they have a really wide selection of food. So what I like to do is go over to, and I feel bad because I miss a lot of Sunny Eclipse, but I'll get in line at Cosmic Rays, we'll get our food there, and then we'll take it over to the Tomorrowland Terrace. The tables are still set up. You sit out there with your food from Cosmic Rays. It's really super quiet. The only people really over there are people that are using that kind of as a pathway that could cut through to get from Main Street, the Main Street area, to the deeper part of Tomorrowland. So I like to do that because you don't have to fight it out for a table in the middle of the day. And it's, like I said, it's quiet. Your kids can be louder if they want to. They're not going to bother anybody. So for me, yeah, I really like the Tomorrowland Terrace. They used to serve a lot of, it used to be open every day for food. I feel like it can't get its own identity for it's just, the menu kind of was back and forth all over the place for years. So right now, it's not really used much during the day. So it's a nice place to kind of go sit. Or you can get food from Main Street somewhere and go sit there. Or you don't need to get food, I guess. But I'd like to do that way.
I always wondered if that was kind of like a test kitchen almost, where they would, because it seemed like whenever I see it open, because you're right, it's seasonal. There's always stuff that shows up in the menu that I haven't seen before, and I'm not a student of their menu. I don't commit it to memory, but it's neat that they're trying new things out of it. But you're right. I love that spot because it is usually quiet, and if you are grabbing a table over there in the daytime, it's shaded. So, and then you usually get a fairly decent breeze over there. Great views of Cinderella's castle, and if you're over there, especially like 3:00 when they have the parade come through, pretty decent view over there without having to stand out in the sun, shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of people you don't know. So I love that choice. I think it's a really good one.
You have to. It was on your list.
Absolutely. I wanted to stroke your ego a little bit here.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate
good choice, man. It's great. Like I'm talking to my boss.
Or your kid.
Great one, Skipper.
Yeah, right. All right, man. You're up for your next Magic Kingdom location.
Here's one that I just found recently, and I don't know why I didn't find it sooner. So, again, still in Magic Kingdom, over in Fantasyland, with the new Fantasyland expansion, they have this little corner that if you're, I guess the best way to describe it is if you get off of the train at the Fantasyland station, most people will get off the train and go like straight through, like there's that little splash park with Casey Jr. and the restrooms are on the left. Instead of going straight through Casey's splash park and getting yourself hosed or going left to go to the bathroom, go right. And there's like a little stairway. And if you go up those little stairs, there's a little patio up there with some tables and chairs and some umbrellas, which is literally right next to the tracks almost. And there's those little tables, probably like 4 or 5 of them. And there's also another little, lack of a better term, like a little alcove. But it's a pretty big little area with a bunch of different couches and chairs. I'm going to sound like a jerk when I say this, but it's like a napping room. Every time I go over there, I see like these dads that got their feet kicked up on the stroller, and they're just like they're taking her down for a few and for a power nap, and that. It's a little interesting. I don't want to, if that's your thing, all right, cool, man, that's fine. I have a hard time napping in public.
Yeah,
so
I'm the same way.
I feel weird about it. I don't know if someone's going to like tie my shoes together and like, or whatever. But I like to hang at those little tables over there outside the napping zone. And because it's great. Like if you, yeah, because like, there's the big top. Oh gosh, I really should do some research before we hop on these podcasts.
I know you're talking about the store, the big
the big top souvenirs. Yes. I think the name of it is. Right. Yeah. So they have that neat little section right in the middle there it's like a mini confectionery. It has a bunch of different sweet treats. The candy apples and caramel apples and Rice Krispie treats, cookies, things like that. You can grab a little treat there. Ooh, the pineapple skewers. Those are pretty good. Don't sleep on the pineapple skewers. Grab a little treat there and just walk over to those tables. You can sit down and enjoy your treat, kind of take a break. The marshmallow spears too. Gosh, those are good. Those are dangerous, man. That's the sugar overload, diabetes, or as Wilford Brimley said, diabetes. How did he say it? Diabetes.
No, it was I can't remember.
Diabetes.
That's it. Diabetes.
Which is like what they should like put an asterisk by the fireworks party at the Tomorrowland Terrace. Like you may contract diabetes after taking all this sugar. Those are nice little tables to sit. It's very quiet up there. I've gone up there with my family, and just hung out for 20 minutes or so just to sit down, relax. Grab a bottle of water and just allow for yourself to decompress and wind down, because literally a few hundred feet from you is all the craziness of Fantasyland. So once you're done and you kind of had that chance to sit down and relax and catch your breath, and it's amazingly quiet over there in that little corner. But once you then it's a lot easier to go back and then do your thing. So it's a neat little, and I'm sure now we're saying this, these are no longer going to be like these secret spots. Like I'm going to have a hard time getting a table over there now, but it is a cool little spot to hang out if you need a little break when you're in Fantasyland.
What's funny is I have never been to this spot. I've seen it on Disney blogs that talk about the couches where you can take a break, sit over there. But I've never been there personally. So I feel like I can't speak too much about it, except now I'm going to have Wilford Brimley's voice stuck in my head for the rest of the night. And just do diabetes. I have diabetes. Anyway.
The napping spot, I was walking through downtown DC a handful of years ago, and it was 7 a.m, and I was on my way to a meeting or something. I don't know what I was doing down there. And I see a homeless guy sleeping on the bench, and I'm standing at the light waiting for the traffic light, and I see this DC cop. He comes zooming down the street super fast. Gosh, I did that and slammed my microphone. He comes zooming down the street, slams on the brakes, throws his lights on, and goes in reverse. I'm like, uh-oh, he's going to catch something going on here. I thought it was like somebody in my crowd of people at the corner. he hops out and grabs his nightstick and starts walking to the homeless guy. I'm like, oh my goodness. No, I hope he's not going to do what I think he's going to do. And he raises the nightstick up like he's going to hit the guy. And then he just starts banging the bench. He's like, pow, 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 pow. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's terrible. Look at this guy. And this guy next to me, I didn't know him, just some stranger. He looks over at me and goes, that's what you call a DC alarm clock. That's what I think some of these people need in the little napping area sometimes. Like it's I don't know. For me, it's weird. I don't like this. I don't like sleeping in public places like that.
No, I don't either. You know what's funny is here we go off on a tangent again, but Chuck Rodriguez, who is also a frequent guest on this podcast, and he won't kill me, or he might kill me for telling the story on the podcast, but I'm going to tell it anyway. So, Chuck, send me an email if you didn't like me, or text me if you didn't like me telling the story. But he is one of those nappers. He can nap anywhere. And once we were walking, my wife and my kids and I were walking into Epcot through International Gateway there, and you know the grass area where the trams used to drive around, but it's now just a big grass like flower bed kind of thing.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
He was sleeping there, and I walked up to him and I was like, "What are you doing?" And we like woke him up, and it's it's a good place to take a nap. I said, "Man, what if somebody? I don't know. I know you're in Walt Disney World, but that's weird."
Sorry, when you were telling your story,
strange.
I was taking a sip of tea and trying to keep the old vocal cords limber, and I literally almost shot tea out of my nose when you said that. And I'll tell you, green tea on the old nostrils ain't exactly pleasant.
Or on your computer there, it probably wouldn't be good either.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. It's a weird thing.
Well, I think I was trying to understand my neuroses here, and I think what happened was here's the moment in time that I realized I don't like to nap in public. I was on a school bus in like 8th grade, and I was sitting in the very back seat because I was a boss back then, and the bus that we had, it had a twofer on one side and a one-fer on the other, in case we had like a student with a wheelchair, they could go back in that little area. So it was like an extra wide area. So I'm sitting in the back seat. I nod off, and my crazy bus driver took a right turn like Mario Andretti, just and I wasn't ready because I was like, in La La Land, and I just went bang, fell down like on my side, like it jarred me because I was asleep. I couldn't catch myself from falling. It's amazing. Maybe that's part of what's going on upstairs, man. I mean, I had my traumatic head injury from that fall on the bus.
All right. You know what? With that, I'm going on to my next one.
There we go.
All right. So my next one that I want to go with. Okay. This one is one that I really like, and I've liked it for a while. I'm a big Coke fan, and I don't mean Coke the bad way. I don't mean it like that. I mean, I like Coca-Cola. Okay. And for years and years and years and years, it's the only thing besides water I would drink. And then I realized it was super unhealthy, and now I drink diet soda or water, or I haven't had a Coca-Cola in years. Probably 12. But I used to really, really, really love it. But one thing I will allow myself to have is a frozen Coke. I love like that slushy, slurpy kind of drink. So over at Disney's Animal Kingdom, they have Drink Walla. It's like in Africa, in Asia, right over the bridge between like Africa, or coming from Discovery Island into Asia. There's a Drink Walla stand, and they have frozen Cokes there. So then there's a little pathway right by that little stand that goes down to this terrace that there's never anyone there. It's because it's kind of the way Animal Kingdom was designed was you were supposed to kind of find your own way around. And I think I may be wrong, but I remember reading that originally they didn't even want any guide maps to the park. They wanted you to kind of explore it and find everything yourself. Like it was, like true nature and true, like a true Animal Kingdom. But anyway, there's a little pathway that you follow down to this little terrace that overlooks the water and the tree of life. And there's a couple benches there, and you could sit and drink your frozen Coke in peace. And they used to have back in the old days of Animal Kingdom, they used to have the Discovery riverboats going around, so you can go get your frozen Coke and sit down there and watch Discovery riverboats go by. Now, I think those have been gone since '99 or 2000. They didn't last very long, but you can still go down there with your frozen Coke, with your water, or your drink, and your snacks, whatever you want to bring. Your kids can go down there. It's quiet and just sit and enjoy that part of the park. I really like it. I think it's a cool place, and it's a nice place to kind of unwind because Animal Kingdom, as we've talked about before, it can be 1,000,000 degrees, and this is on the water, and you get a break, you get a little bit of a breeze. It's an open area. So, yeah, I think it's a really cool one to kind of go take a break and relax.
I'm going to sound like the worst parent in the world here when I tell this story, but my kids, they've never had Coke and never had any sodas before.
Yeah, mine haven't either.
So, but somehow, I don't know where my daughter got in her head. She wanted to try a Coke, and it just was nonstop going on. I want to try it. I'm so-and-so likes it. I want to try it. And it was a nonstop fight. So I was walking with them through Epcot last week, actually, and it started going. I don't know what kindled that fire. I said, all right, enough. I'll go get you a Coke. So we go to the Club Cool, and what do? I go get those little sample cups and fill it with Beverly.
Oh,
and go, here you go. Here's a Coke. And they both take a hit from it, and like I thought their eyeballs can get sucked into their head, like and they're just like, that's just terrible. And they said, yeah, that's Coke. You want some more? I said, no, this is yucky. And so, but that's a cool spot to hang. I know exactly what you're talking about, though. And I didn't really know that about Animal Kingdom in terms of, the kind of, because it's a good point in that it's not really laid out logically like the other parks. Well, not Hollywood Studios really isn't laid out logically, but it's there are not a lot of little cool spots you can hang out like that. So that's a good pull. I like that one.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, two things. One, the Animal Kingdom. I remember when I worked there. It was only the park when I first started working there. It was only a couple months old, and the directions at that point that you had to give to guests. I was a custodial cast member. It was tough. Like it was hard to kind of get directions around that park because it wasn't as overgrown as it is now. And I like the park that much more now because all the vegetation is grown in, and of course it makes it a little warmer than it probably should be. But the one thing I used to get was people would always ask me like, how to get here, how to get there, and it isn't. You're right. It's not laid out like you can be like, okay, go to this land and take a left. Go listen. It's very much open. It's very like there's a lot of little pathways, a lot of little, even around a Tree of Life, there's all the Discovery Island trails. I think they're still called that. The Discovery Island trails that have all the animals in them, and you would never know they were really there unless you explored on your own. It's pretty cool that they have that. The other thing is about your Beverly story. My kids, as I said, never had any kind of soda before. We're not crazy like super health conscious. Like we let our kids eat at McDonald's once in a while and that kind of thing. But we don't do the soda thing. I just think it's I don't want to preach, but we just don't do it. So we did the same thing. I love Club Cool at Epcot. So I don't know why. It's like it's a thing that I have to do on there. So we went and my kids wanted to try the different sodas. So I was like, I looked at my wife, I'm like, come on, it's once in a while. They don't do this ever. So we let them try a couple. And I took a video of it too. Like we had 2 3-year-olds and a 5-year-old. I'm like a horrible parent. I was like, try this one. It's Beverly. It's really good. And man, we videoed it and their faces. It's hilarious. My our older daughter, she drank it and her eyes, she has the glasses and her eyes got so big. And I go, how is it? And she was choking back like a gag. And she was like, it's good. It's good. I felt so bad.
I love it.
And what's funny is I know there's someone somewhere in Italy right now that is listening to this and saying it is good. And like, I kind of forget that there are people that actually drink it. Like we, as as Americans, I just can't get that flavor. It's not something that I enjoy. But I guess people like it because they sell it. You can buy it by the case on eBay, by the way, just in case you wanted to go get one.
There goes your Italian demographic right now. We basically just ousted your business from all Italian customers now. Goodness, sorry about that.
I've done it before. It's not that big of a deal. I've trashed Beverly on here before. But come on, let's be for real. That's the reason it's there. It's not there because the majority of Epcot guests are going to come in and say it's delicious. It's there because you're drinking these overly sweet pineapple and raspberry and I don't even know what other kind of drinks. And then if you don't know what Beverly is, you drink it and, the cameras are rolling, man. People want to see your face when you try it because it's so different than the other ones. It's crazy. All right.
Yeah. That's and so if anyone's listening who hasn't tried it, it's a free thing to do. You can go over there and check it out, and there's a lot of Coca-Cola merchandise and things in there that you can do. It's like I guess this was like the precursor to the Disney Springs Coca-Cola experience.
Yeah.
They just blew it up big time. But yeah, so that's a little tip if you're trying to wean the kids off soda.
It's a good point. All right, man. I don't know who was that? Was that you or was that me?
I think that was you. So I think I'm up for number 3.
Okay.
All right. I really should have put this one at the top of the list because I really like this spot a lot. Still in the Magic Kingdom. In Liberty Square, there are a handful of neat little alcoves and things you can kind of explore and hang out. But Liberty Square has a really tiny footprint compared to the other lands in the Magic Kingdom. But if you're looking at the Hall of Presidents, you'll look over to the side toward the right of the building. There's what looks like the entrance to a house almost. There's a couple of steps and a little like brick. Not a patio, but like a porch almost, and a door. And there's 2 rocking chairs that sit up there. Those rocking chairs, that's like prime real estate in the Magic Kingdom. So I don't know that I've ever been up there and seen people like standing around and loitering and waiting for me to get up and vamoose, but they are oftentimes occupied if you're walking through Liberty Square. I think it's definitely a spot that a lot of people like to stake out for the parades. I don't know if I've never seen anybody try to enforce, any of the cast members trying to enforce that you can't sit there during the parades. Don't quote me on that. But it's a really cool spot to sit and hang out because, especially for kids, the kids love rocking chairs, and you can sit up there and relax. And it's a neat vantage point from to kind of look into Liberty Square and watching the guests kind of do their thing. It's far enough removed away from all that action of all the guests traversing through Liberty Square that you're not in anyone's way. It is a little bit quieter back through there, and it's nice because it's shaded. It's a little cooler back through there. And you also kind of, if the wind is blowing right, you can catch a little hint of funnel cake coming from Sleepy Hollow. Or popcorn. There's a popcorn cart that's propped right outside on the other direction from right by the Liberty Tree. So that's a cool little spot, but it's kind of hard to snag. But if you see it and you're walking through Liberty Square and you see no one's parked their keisters in those rocking chairs, just go over there. Go over there for 5 minutes and kick your feet up and let your dogs have a rest for a second. I think it's a worthwhile investment of your time.
That's really funny. It kind of reminds me of the place. There's a one shop on Main Street in Disneyland that has a porch and it has 2 chairs that you can sit on. And every time I walk by that spot in the Magic Kingdom, it reminds me of that. I think it's a really kind of unique thing that they did to put them in there. And it's cool. And I always forget that those are there, that the chairs are there. And then you take that, because Liberty Square has these little nooks and crannies in it, I guess much like, actual colonial America did. And when you're going through, you kind of forget it's there and you kind of stumble upon it. Yeah, it's really cool. That's a nice little. I don't think I've ever gotten to sit in those chairs though. I think every time I walk by, someone's in them. Like you said, it's pretty. I don't know why. It's just I guess it's a cool thing to say you did. I'm not quite sure why they're always full, but to me, every time I go by them, there are a couple of folks kind of hanging out there, or some old man with his feet up on a stroller taking a nap for some reason. I've actually never seen that. That's not true. But yeah, that's a good one. That's a good pick. And it's not too far now from where the Muppets Moments in History is.
Yeah.
So cool.
I still haven't seen it though. I've only seen videos of it.
I know. I've seen when it first came out, I was like, you know me, I'm a lunatic, and I was on YouTube for like 4 hours watching every version of every show that they put up there. So I feel like I've seen it, but I haven't seen it in person yet either.
And have you seen the Muppets Mobile Lab?
I can't believe it's back. I was so excited to see it was back.
Yeah, I just caught it by accident the other day. That's so cool.
What's funny is the podcast that came out last week that I did with Herb, that one, we talked about that because he and I both noticed it. And you know Herb, he's very even keel, he doesn't get super excited on his podcast. When I mentioned Muppet Mobile Labs, he went crazy. Like I've never heard him get that excited over something on the podcast. So I was like, yeah,
that's just how good it is.
It really is. It's amazing. It is.
I don't want to give it away, but that's got to be if you're planning a trip to Walt Disney World and Epcot's on your agenda, you got to figure out how you can be there in Future World for when that comes through. It's a really cool show, and the way they do it it's phenomenal. The technology that they've done, it's amazing. It blew me away. I'm surprised it's not getting more press.
I know. I was really surprised that I kind of just stumbled upon it one day. It was out. It came out. I don't know how many years ago, 4 years ago or so, and it was a very limited run at Epcot, and then all of a sudden it was gone, and I thought it was gone for good. And then recently, I think I was on somebody's Facebook or YouTube channel, and there it was, and the date was this week. And I was like, oh my God, it's back. Like, we were just talking about it. It's so weird. And you're right. It's such a cool show. It's very unique. The technology is just outstanding.
Maybe this is a sign that they're going to start bringing back some of these things that are crowd favorites, like Push the Trash Can or Malt, Sweat, and Shears, and, things that really people love, or, Off Kilter. Hopefully. Because that's definitely a good sign to see stuff like that coming back.
The Lumberjacks did not last very long, did they?
That was a short-lived one, yeah.
All right, man. Well, I wonder why. Maybe people were afraid they were going to get a wood chip shot in their eye sitting there watching the show.
Yeah, I think the lawyers shut that down.
It was just anyway. Okay, Disney, sorry. My next one. Here's where I'm going to go. This one is... It's going to sound like a weird one because it's not exactly a very quiet place to go, but it is one of my favorite places to go. And I'm sure you're going to agree with me on this one. At Disney's Wilderness Lodge, one of my favorite things to do and one of my favorite places to kind of relax and get away from because I think when you walk into Wilderness Lodge, you get that feeling of being away from it all. You're so close to Magic Kingdom, yet you feel like you're in the Pacific Northwest and so far away. It's amazing the theming of that resort, how it makes you feel like you're not at Disney. It really does. But sitting down with a cup of coffee in the morning or with an adult beverage at night in front of the fireplace at Wilderness Lodge is one of my favorite places, one of my all-time favorite places to get away from it all in Walt Disney World. I love that. And it's not, like I said, it's not super quiet. Especially because Whispering Canyon is right over your shoulder there when you're sitting in one of those big chairs in front of the fireplace. But I don't care if it's 100 degrees outside, it's air conditioned inside. And I love sitting in front of that fireplace. And, I'll sit there with my kids and we'll just talk about our day or talk about our plans for the next day. It's really one of my favorite places in all of Walt Disney World. So I think that one is a very, very underrated spot in that resort.
If this episode that we're doing right now if it was like the pillar of this topic. If we were to have a spin-off, like Happy Days had Joni Loves Chachi, or Friends had The Joey Show, like you could do a spin-off of this topic just for Wilderness Lodge.
Yeah,
there's agree. So many little spots. I've stayed there a handful of times. I even go over there a lot just to hang out and walk around and just enjoy sitting at the fireplace or just walking through the grounds. There are so many spots in that property where you can do that. And I think if we were to like rank right now, like the most relaxing resorts, that's definitely really high up there. Yeah. Right. So, so if you're thinking, if you in your mind, Walt Disney World vacation, gosh, that sounds so stressful. That sounds like I can't relax. I'm going to come home and be just wound up. There's a lot you can do with that whole sensory experience that we talked about. But if you were retreating, in the middle of the day to just catch a nap or go swimming, or in the evening to actually go to sleep and relax, that's how you unwind. Like that place right there will help you get that vacation experience very easily. Especially and it could be like one of those spots where if you were to say you're going to go on vacation, but you don't want to go to the parks every day, you want to just have a day or two where you just hang out at your resort, that's one of those ones where you could have a lot to do, whether it be from activities or just to relax. So that's an awesome choice, man.
Yeah, and I actually, thanks. And I actually just thought of the Carrollwood Pacific Room there too is another one of my favorite places to kind of sit and relax. There's another fireplace in there. They have the actual cars from the Carrollwood Pacific Railroad, which was Walt Disney's Backyard Railroad in California, in the Holmby Hills section of California on Carrollwood Drive. That's another place in Wilderness Lodge. You're right. I think you could have, well, really, we're going to have to do an episode just about the Wilderness Lodge. When we did the resort roundup before, we have to do another one because I can talk about that resort really all night. It really, without a doubt.
Absolutely. We can get Disney to hook it up and say, look, hey, we're going to be really selling this hotel hard here on this podcast. I think you need to hook us up, both of our families, make sure we have a good mindset.
We're going to need club level, right? You need club level rooms for that.
I was thinking presidential suites. I mean, they've got a few of them there, different size. I mean, might as well. I mean, this is really for them.
We're pushing their stuff. I mean, listen, Disney, they give me a commission on trips that I sell, but I don't work directly for them. I don't have to speak nicely about them.
Yeah, I know, man. It's the least they could do.
Yeah, but I'm such a Disney nerd. There's no chance I'm ripping them. I'll be honest. That's my thing. I want to be honest about stuff, but I'm such a Disney nerd. There's no way that I wouldn't speak so highly about it. That's why I do the podcast. And that is going to do it for this week's part 1 of Where to Get Away From It All in Walt Disney World episode of the Ear to There podcast. Thank you once again to my guest, Johnny Shortsleeve, and listen back next week for the very exciting conclusion of part 2 of the top places to get away from it all in Walt Disney World. As I say each and every week, these are a blast to do. They're really fun to put out there. I really hope you are enjoying each and every single episode that I put out there. And yes, I mean you, because every single person is important to me. I'm very excited that you're listening. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode today, or tonight, or in your car, or on the treadmill, or out for your walk, or wherever you are listening to this episode. Thank you again. It's so greatly appreciated. And as always, if you did enjoy the episode, all I ask is that you tell someone about it. I'm sure you have one of those people in your life that really wants to take the trip to Walt Disney World, but thinks, man, it's going to be too crazy, too loud, too overstimulating for me. I can't do it. Well, this episode is the perfect episode to share with them because it just shows you what places there are and how many places there are to go and take a break and to relax and get out of all the hustle and bustle that the Walt Disney theme parks usually have. So once again, thank you so much for listening. Just remember, each and every Monday morning, there will be a new episode of the Ear to There podcast, as well as a new episode of the Ear to There podcast, Walt Disney World Word of the Week, each and every Wednesday morning. So until next week, thank you again so much for listening. Have a fantastic week. Bye-bye.